Hello, I'm painting yellow and white on my canvas at one time here. Get it nice and wet, get some yellow and white. So a nice light yellow on here. Thank you very much for joining me. Hopefully you are a member of my Patreon account. You're getting this video because you have subscribed. Thank you very much for your donations. Thank you very much for all your help. Certainly do need it. It certainly is being put to good use. Editing class I just took for editing a TV show, so I can take this kind of stuff to RCTV and I can take it all over New York State that way. I'm working on that. I'm getting pretty close to tying that all together. On this video, it probably looks fairly white. I assure you there's much more yellow in it than you probably have seen. And I apologize for that. That's due to my camera. It was just a regular web camera. If you are not a member of my Patreon and you are catching this video later on, it's put out first for the people who support me on Patreon. It's a little bit of red oxide, pulling from the outside right across, from the outside right across. A little more on there. And as I come down, if you're not a member of my Facebook page at Large Artist on Facebook, please sign up for Facebook. I'll start doing these live. I can answer questions as I'm doing them. That's kind of the plan anyway. It's a little bit of raw umber. At least from the outside in, straight pulls. On the other side. Brush. And my sky, a little bit of that. Right outside. curves up. Round them out. Maybe I'll do another one. Oh, now I have to get this left to right. Ooh, it's drying up a little bit. It's a little bit of yellow on. Let's center that right down. A little bit of yellow, a little bit of that. There's a lot of that, Rossiana. It's red oxide, I'm sorry. It's too much, so I just washed my brush out. I'm gonna pick some of it up, wipe it off, pick some of it, wipe it off. Add a little more yellow to the mix. Simmer it down. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Right back up. Right off the canvas. A little of that yellow. Just looking through the clouds there. My lake needs a little more dark on the side too. Add that in from the edge and pull it into the center of the lake. That's alright. Dark in here. Okay. That dark color is dry on my brush. I'm just gonna come into my cloud here. Put some dark in it. I know I usually put the light on the dark, but sometimes when the light's in the back, then the light goes in the back and the dark goes in the front. And that's kind of what's going on here. This is just a dry brush. There's some of the dirt left on it from putting some brown in. I'm just touching it here. I'm just in that curve up kind of thing. Let it kind of show through. Like that, maybe. A little darker back in here. A little distance. So there's a nice little lake for us to do some stuff on. Some black paint. I'm going to use a square brush. And just make a nice line back here. So we're in the Finger Lakes if you're not from the area. And the one that we go to the most around here is Canandaigua. That's what I go to most to. But I also go to Canisius and Canadice. Right straight across that waterline. In Seneca. It doesn't have to be perfectly smooth on the bottom there because it's a lake shoreline. And so sometimes there's little divots and little places where the water comes in closer to the shore than others. So I like to put those little things in there, those little points of interest. Now I always think of it as Canandaigua Lake, and so I always like to put in a nice kind of hill in here that does that. And there's actually another one back in here. It goes up a little bit higher. You want to add just a touch of white into this one. So it's just a little bit lighter than the one behind it. That's okay. If you made the whole thing solid black, it would sell too, don't worry. So something like that. And I think on the other side, I'm going to do the same thing. Like this. Another hill. Bristol Mountain back in there. So I think that's good. I like that little dip in there. I think the other thing I want to do is I got the black on this thin brush, so I want to sharpen it so it's a nice thin line, and especially along the lines up here. I'm gonna get a nice thin line. I'm gonna try to get as close to the lake as I can there, or to the mountains as I can. Close like that. Really fine line. Some pieces you'll probably even touch. That's fine. And then I'm going to take that same fine line and I'm going to keep going back and forth real lightly. Very gentle touch. Just in the areas where that hill is there. It gets a little bit bigger down here. That makes a nice shadow for us. But you can see little light sparkles from the lake on there. And then do the same thing this side. It's got a little bit of, it's a little bit taller on this side. So something like that's good. A little bit of a shadow coming up. And if you ever make a shadow, like that's what, if you do a shadow that you're like, oh no, that's a big shadow right there. You just come up here and you go, and you put a little bit of a hill in there, and all of a sudden that shadow makes sense. So once I do that, I wash this brush out, and I'm going to put white paint on it. I'm going to sharpen it just like I did with the black paint, just real sharp. And I'm going to do real light, just barely touching. I touch some of that gray, that's okay. That black and grayed it up a little bit. Just do some real light lines that are level, just little flat ones. Now sometimes the brush will stick, and sometimes it won't, and sometimes it'll grab some of that black, and then all that stuff kind of happens. That's what happens. You get little reflections and that kind of thing back in there. So I'm wash my brush off, so it's getting a little too much black from in there, and I'm gonna pinch it shut, and I'm just gonna touch up a couple of these spots. Some are a little too bright, some are a little too dark. I just touch them with my dry brush, and it cleans them right up for me. I'm going to go back into the white. I'm going to do some nice watermarks. Again, these are just real light touches. I have an Instagram page. My Instagram page, I do mostly dragons, that kind of stuff, fantasy creatures. That's the kind of stuff I grew up on. People like Frank Frazetta and Tim Hildebrand, those kind of people. And so I have a whole place. I have a whole gallery set up here in Rochester, 873 Atlantic Avenue, set up just for that. If you're interested in that kind of stuff, please come down, take a look. It's not only my stuff, but it's a local Rochester artist. Got Gia Conti, who does just amazing watercolors. If you've never seen them, just absolutely amazing watercolors. I've got some Magnus Apollo. This man is blowing up. He was just featured on Arts in Focus on PBS. I got some of his work original here, some of his gallery work that's been in galleries, in shows, contests. He's got some of that work here, because I am a gallery, obviously. So stop on by 873 Atlantic Avenue. If you like that kind of fantasy creature kind of stuff, or somebody in your family does, It makes for great gifts. Just a few more little things of light happening back in here. So the more of these little water lines you put in, the more it pushes the shadows and stuff underneath the water. And it gives that more of that glaze kind of look. It's important that you go left to right though. Water will always levels out. It always finds a place level. I'm going to be painting this painting with people at the Stumbling Monkey on Saturday, May 19th. If you'd like to come and paint this painting with me, I'd be happy to show you how I do this live. It's only $35, and it does come with a pint of their homemade craft brew. So please come out and take a look at that if you want to come paint this. If you want to paint this at home, you certainly may. I don't know how many people will see this before May 19th, because this is for anybody who has this is just yellow now, same thing, just some skinny lines back and forth. Back and forth, some skinny lines. These little white lines, they really put a couple of them right down the middle here, just to brighten that right up a little. So I think that looks like a nice little sunset for me. So next thing I'm going to do, just because I'm never just absolutely satisfied, I think the next thing I'm going to do is, on this side, I'm going to put a nice big tree. So black paint on the brush. I'm going to do right down and through the thing, right off the canvas. Just like that. Now I'm going to do a nice thing. Makes it a little bit thicker. Right through there. Bring guy. Right just like that. Or maybe a guy who comes over, bends this way, and then comes back that way and comes down and makes the rest of the trunk. Something like that, maybe. Give our tree some interest. So each one of these guys, I'm going to just put in a couple of frames. How many of these you do? It's up to you. Put a little bit of white on it. You can actually go right through the, and it shows up in the shadow places. So if it's a shadow, just touch a little bit of white in there. So it's not a bad idea. We'll give a little bit of white into all of it here, just like that. This guy, maybe just a little bit more white in that. A little bit of trunk stuff. So maybe another right in there. Maybe just a few more right. Cool. We got a nice little tree in there. The other thing I think I might want to do with this painting is, I think I might do one of these. Make sure it's level on the end. Maybe a couple little posts on it like that. Alright, and that comes right down. Do you see how that works out? Black now, right in. Now the cool thing about doing this kind of thing is, you put this whole thing in, that's just a shadow, right? You can put anything you want in here. You put a little Adirondack chair in there, whatever you like. But once you do that and make these little end posts, the higher you make them, the closer the dock is going to come to you. You take a look at that. See how that is? If I put a little bit more on top of that, it gets just a little bit closer to each time I do it. And so that's about as far away as I want my dock to be. I'm going to maybe put another little post there. He's got to be shorter. And then this guy here, he's got to be a little bit longer than that guy and a little bit further away. I mean, shorter in distance. As we get further away, see, it gets further away in distance. Something like that, maybe. And then put yellow paint on the brush. I go and that's out right across over here. I go right there. That's one. And then over here we go. That's the other one, right? He goes next to him. And over here we get this guy. He goes right in there. If you want to come in with some yellow, put a couple of little slats in of yellow. Because sometimes the light's just bouncing off those guys. Now the fun thing is underneath we can put a post. Straight down and post. Straight down and post. Straight down, right? And once I do those posts, just washing my brush out. I can take this and clean that up a little bit. Like that. There we go. I can take these and left to right towards the other post. And underneath here we can just pull out a little bit of that gives it a little bit more of a 3D effect by doing that. That's a lot of fun to do. I like that a lot. This guy needs to clean up a couple of these posts a little fast. And so there's my nice little lake scene. I think the last thing I'm going to do, because this is a summer lake scene, is I need to put some some leaves on my tree. And so to do that, I get my brush nice and fuzzy, nice and fuzzy. I take black paint just on the very end of it with black paint, so it stamps a nice fuzzy look to it. I'm going to do that nice fuzzy look to it, and kind of V's, this way, that way, this way, that way, this way, that way, and down the line. Get a little bit more paint. I always come to and tap it back off again, so it's nice and fuzzy. This way and that way, this way. And come down the. I don't want to get rid of those tree branches. I want to be able to see them in there. And I'm going to keep doing that. This one. This guy. Go right off the canvas, especially if it gets close to the edge. Take it right off the canvas. In places I push down harder because if you can't see through it, that means that's where the leaves have clumped together more. So now I got a little bit of down here. I'm gonna add a little bit of white to it, just kind of because up here just touch a little bit of white into it to lighten that up a little bit. Through here, just maybe another little guy kind of connects in there. Who knows? Come back, give us some straight black. Through there, something like that. I'll take a little bit of the yellow on there. And I'll touch into that white. Into that white. And I'll touch into this one. There's a little bit of yellow highlights into that guy. Something like that, I think looks nice. And so with that said, I think I take my little brush, yellow, touch it into the tree. Just let it scrape off. Just highlight some of those barkier areas. That doesn't get rid of all the white. I want to keep some of that white in there too. You can smooth out a couple of these lines. There we go. And I think I got it done painting. If you had fun painting this with me, please help me by signing up on Patreon with me. My Patreon account is Patreon Large Artist. My website is largeartist.com. My signature down here, TC. Thank you very much. Bring it up close to you. Some nice depth in that tree. Thank you much, folks.